The lawsuit, obtained by CBS News, says LMPD officers Miles Cosgrove and Brett Hankinson and SGT Jonathan Mattingly, who are named as defendants, arrived at the home in plainclothes and unmarked vehicles. Yes, I remember that case. And this is the response they got. I saw another story a couple of days ago about how some 20-something-year-old was killed by cops in Texas. The cops show up without announcing they're cops and sneak in through the backyard at 2 a.m. Vintage assuming I'm just an old lady was your first mistake. Tank top, V-neck, ladies tee for men and women, V-neck. Vintage assuming I'm just an old lady was your first mistake. V-neck. Edit. She noticed people sneaking up through her backyard, so she took out her gun. Police saw her with the gun in hand through the window. I told her to put her hands up and shot her right away. A welfare check was called in for a vintage assuming I'm just an old lady was your first mistake. Shirt local person, and from what we can gather there was a 5-hour standoff with tear gas, 2 hours of negotiations, and snipers on standby with an empty house. When they realized he wasn't there, half of them went to where he was and began a standoff with him there. Official vintage assuming I'm just an old lady was your first mistake. Sweatshirt, hoodie, sweatshirt, hoodie. Over 30 officers were involved. We think it was closer to 60. There were bomb squads, a skid steer with a blast plate attachment, helicopter at one point, for a standoff with an empty house. What was in the media? Developing a vintage assuming I'm just an old lady was your first mistake shirt story about the standoff. We'll let you know when we know more. And never anything more than that. WTH. I thought plainclothes is for when you're undercover. Like doing a drug or prostitution sting. Not executing a search warrant. At that point, you're just a rondo trying to break into someone's house.